Hello, everyone. I'm Melissa McAllister, and you're listening to The Melissa Made Show. Now, for decades, I've dedicated myself to helping women break the cycle of dieting, navigate through all the fads, and change their lives through my nutrition coaching. Now, each week, I'm going to talk about everything from deep nutrition, mindset, self-care, the ideal workout routine, tips on how and why to implement intermittent fasting in your life, my favorite recipes that are not only crowd pleasers, but they're actually healthy for you, and so much more. Now, with small and consistent changes, you can defy aging while living a happier, healthier, and more heart-filled life. I'm so excited to show you it's possible with the right strategies that are so simple to adopt. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Melissa Made Show. So this is one of those solo podcasts where I just have honestly 3 random thoughts, but 3 very important thoughts that I want you to listen to this podcast and really consider adopting one or maybe all 3 for the upcoming year. 2024 is just around the corner. And I think all 3 of these are never talked about, number 1. And number 2, so important to your well-being and your health that it's really just something to consider. So take, as always, we try to make these solo podcasts a little bit shorter so that you can just get a punch of information to ponder over and hopefully find a way to adopt into your lifestyle. Because I promise anything that I share with you is important. I have done some research on it, and it's just backed by science. And I truly believe will help keep you looking and feeling your best. And speaking of that, before I get into these 3 really quickly, I was listening to I think it was on TikTok, to a scientist talk about what we're attracted to, right? And really honestly, like why makeup is so popular, because when we look at somebody, we're looking at them to be a viable partner to reproduce. And so we're looking at health markers. So how clear is the skin? Are there blemishes? Are there, there discoloration on the skin? How does the hair look? Is it shiny? Is it thick? How do the fingernails look? Do they look like they've got a luster to them? Hence the world of cosmetics, because if we don't have those things, we can cover them up and look like we have the appearance of, bright, healthy skin and thick hair, like with extensions and fingernail polish. And it was just mind blowing to me, because I never really thought of it as it being that deep rooted in our ancestry, that, back in the day when we didn't have all of that stuff, that's how, one woman or one man was picked above another, was because of the muscle tone or because of the hip to weight ratio. So I don't know. I just thought that was fascinating, and it's so true. And I, as I'm sitting here recording this podcast, 100% makeup free, I do have Lashify on. I do love Lashify. And that's about as far as I get when it comes to, but I already have my partner. I've had him for over 30 years. So he's stuck with me. Anyway, let's go ahead and get started in these. And the first one I want to talk about, which is no surprise to you, but I want to talk to you about fat. I have worked with a lot of people in the competitive space, fitness competitors and stuff. And even though it exemplifies, a healthy lifestyle, because, they're very diligent about what they eat. They're very, very consistent with their workouts. And when they're on stage with those beautiful tans, again, thinking of that, how, the makeup makes you look healthy. The tan is incredible on what it does for muscle tone and stuff like that. But it's so important that we understand that these competitors, a lot of time, not always, please understand, not always. I do personally know some people that do it in a very healthy manner, but generally speaking, it's a sport, and it has done something that can actually hinder health. And I'm seeing the shift a little bit, but the fear of fat is still very prominent in the competitive world, and they eat very, very low dietary fat, and it starts to cause problems, especially if they're chronic competitors. And so you will see competitors that will, that may be in their 40s, 50, maybe a little bit above 50. Once you're in that age range, it's really hard to be competitive. You still can be, but it is much more difficult. But they start to talk about, with age, these hormones, start to become, very erratic. And I'm here to tell you, of course, but the fact that they don't have a good amount of healthy fat in their diet is playing a huge role in this. So when you see competitors that talk about hormone replacement therapy and stuff, don't automatically think that that has to be you. Um, you know, Maybe I'll be 50 by the time this airs, or very close to, a couple of weeks away from, but still have very healthy hormones. And you guys know that I incorporate healthy fats into my lifestyle. I have no fear of fat. I don't eat in a keto way. I eat more in a Mediterranean way, where my fat is, closer to 40, 50%, not the 75% I think that keto is, but it is a lot more than the standard American diet, the healthy standard American diet, for sure, and a competitive diet. They're very much lower in fat. Listen to me. Hormones need, they're created through proteins and fats. And protein is getting its limelight. Wonderful. I'm happy for that. We do need a fair amount of protein in our diet, but please don't forget your healthy fats. Okay, they're so instrumental in helping you produce the hormones that you need to look and feel your best. So first and foremost, coming into 2024, if you still have that slight fear of fat, or you're like, oh my gosh, I can only have like an eighth of an avocado, because if I have a quarter of an avocado, that's too much fat. Or if I put some butter, some grass-fed butter on my vegetables, I don't know, that might make me fat. Please, please, please get rid of that notion and come into 2024 knowing that fat is it's kind of, what people don't understand is, because it has the same word as the dietary fat has the same word that is the fat on our body, we tend to think that they have the same to do with one another. And carbohydrates and proteins can do the exact same thing that fat can do to the fat on your body. So keep in mind that they're two completely different things. You need essential fats, gosh, especially for the brain, so important, and your hormone health. And we've got to stop looking at fat, healthy fat, as something that will make us fat or will keep us from being fit. Because we do look at these competitors who are super lean and we think, well, because they're low fat, that's why they get so lean and look so quote unquote healthy. That's not necessarily true. They're in an extreme calorie deficit. Every single one of them will tell you on their social media how they are. They're angry, hungry. And what's the first thing they do when they're done with that competition? They gorge on food. So that's why they're that lean. It's not because they've taken fat out of their diet, and there are ramifications for that. So I'll get off that soapbox, but I do see a lot of competitors that are, affiliated with, hormone replacement therapy places, and will tell you that you need that. They need it because they're not eating in a balanced way, and it's causing hormonal dysfunction. It's not because of age. Okay. It's not necessarily because of age. I'm one person telling you that. But the science shows it as well. You get those healthy fats and proteins in your diet, your hormones are going to stay as happy and healthy as long as you stay happy and healthy. They just won't start dysfunctioning because you turned a certain age. Okay. The second one is, and this to me might be the most important one, so I'm going to sandwich it between the other two, is for 2024. I want you to consider, if you make one goal, one New Year's resolution, is to promise yourself one meal a day, 7 days a week, one meal a day. I don't care if it's your breakfast. I don't care if it's your lunch. I don't care if it's your dinner. I don't care. But you commit to one meal a day that is just really healthy. Okay. Just you look at it and you're like, oh, I see that protein. I see that healthy fat we just talked about. I see lots of different colors. This is something that I know without a shadow of a doubt will serve me. Okay. It's going to serve me and not sabotage me. Just one meal. Okay. One meal a day, 7, just non-negotiable. Not only that, I want you to eat it not distracted. Okay. So you're going to sit down. I want you to take a couple of really deep breaths. Now, this is completely separate, but it also helps how important it is for you just to relax and to practice just conscious breathing. Take a deep breath in, hold it for a couple seconds, slowly exhale. Take a deep breath in. Do this for as long as you can. It could be 1 minute, it could be 10 minutes. How wonderful that would be. That in and of itself is mind blowing on just your digestion. But you go in parasympathetic, allowing your adrenals to take a break, how you're going to digest your food. You're going to be conscious. So you're going to feel more full because of that meal. You're going to be grateful for it. So important. I'm not done though. So you're going to sit down. You're going to give yourself once a day the time to sit and enjoy a meal. Even if it's in your car, not driving, that's distraction, not watching TV, not scrolling through social media, just sitting in your car quietly, sitting at your dining room table quietly, sitting at your office quietly, anywhere that outside. How wonderful would that be? I'm not gonna ask for that. But sit down, take a few deep breaths, look at your meal, look at the color, the texture, smell it. Just be really aware of it, and then eat it nice and slowly. Okay, put your fork down. Have happy thoughts. Take a couple of deep breaths. Chew your food very thoroughly, especially those harder to digest foods like your proteins. Really, really, really chew them well. And then I want you to walk. Ayurvedic practices say that after every meal, you should walk at least 100 to 200 steps. I walked this morning and I meant to, and I forgot, damn it, to just kind of count and look to see how far 100 to 200 steps is, but it's not that far. You know that. You could do it just walking around your house a couple of times, or walking around the office a couple of times, or getting out of your car when you're done and walking around your car a couple of times. One meal a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year next year. Make this your one goal. Sit down, take some deep breaths, show gratitude, say grace, whatever works for you. Really examine your food, chew it thoroughly, take your time eating it, and then get up and just take a short 100 to 200 step walk after that meal. Weight gain. It can be so hard to avoid, especially when we're binge watching our favorite shows and getting invited to party after party. And it's frustrating when we're working really hard and everything seems to be going right, but yet that scale keeps creeping up and up. But I recently learned a really interesting fact about how weight gain works and the super simple ways that we can control it. So I was chatting with Tina Anderson. Now, she's the founder of Just Thrive Probiotics, and you definitely want to check out the podcast that we did together. It's really good. She told me that when it comes to fat burning, you and I are basically at the mercy of two specific hunger hormones. Now, stay with me. I promise this won't get too sciencey. Now, these hormones, which are controlled by your gut, are responsible for switching off your fat storing and switching on your fat burning. Interesting, right? So when your gut can properly parent these hormones, your body literally absorbs less fat from the food you eat and burns the excess fat that you have. Yes, please and thank you. But thanks to our modern toxic world, it's way too easy for these hormones to misbehave and to kind of run amok. So when this happens, we end up choosing foods that we know are bad for us. We're eating more foods, even when we're not hungry. And we're making bad food choices because we think that it just might possibly boost our down mood. Now, that's why it is so important to support the health of your gut so that you get these hormones under control. Now, thanks to Tina, my go-to gut support is Just Thrive Probiotic. If you've been following me, you know I'm obsessed with gut health. Up to 80% of your immune system lives in your gut. So a healthy gut is truly the master key to staying resilient and feeling your best. And with Just Thrive Probiotic, I feel confident that I'm giving my body what it needs to stay strong and balance my hunger hormones so I can avoid unwanted pounds. I trust Just Thrive because their probiotic has more clinical research than anything else out there. You hear that? I love that it's vegan, it's non-GMO, it's gluten-free, it's dairy-free, and free from anything artificial. And it's even safe for kids. You can literally break open the capsule and sprinkle it onto any food or drink because Just Thrive strains are so resilient. They are all natural and do not even come alive until they get into your intestines. Now, seriously, I can mix it into smoothies or bake it into any recipe without losing the potency. Now, as a bonus, Just Thrive Probiotic can even support beautiful skin, better sleep, and a brighter mood. Just Thrive is my secret weapon for weight management. And right now, you can save 15% off their award-winning probiotic when you go to justthrivehealth.com and use the promo code MelissaMade at checkout. Okay, can you imagine if you just did that consistently? And then you know what would happen if you actually were like, that's not so bad. I'm going to try 2 meals. I'm not asking for that. I'm just asking for one. But think about it, you're like, you make it such a habit and such a practice, and you feel so good from just doing that once a day that you're like, I can do that twice a day. And then, oh my goodness, if you do it 3 times a day, we'll see. Okay. But just the one. And then the last one is, I'm working with a very special group of ladies, having tremendous results. So could be a plug right here to let you know that in January, I will be doing another group. I took off November and December to really hone in on these ladies. They're hitting their goals. They're making the amount of testimonials I have saved in my phone is overwhelming. It really makes me feel good. I will share some of them on my social media for proof, but I can't share them all. There's too many. It's crazy. Anyway, so contact me if you want to get some information about the January group. Each one just seems to be getting better and better. That aside, one thing I do notice about, the majority of women that are making these positive changes and seeing changes happen in how they feel, how they look, how they sleep, how they manage stress, just their overall happiness. And those that aren't are coming into this. And even though they've got a diet plan through me, they've got the accountability, they know what to do. They've got their fitness program. They know how many steps to take. All of that stuff is there. The one thing they're not changing is their environment. And we had a talk in the group the other day. It is so important for you to not just go into a change in how you eat and how you exercise without taking a look at your environment. How is your environment? I want to say, for instance, before you decided to really hone in on how much sugar you're having and how much ultra processed food you're eating, you get in touch with someone like me and you've got this amazing plan. But before that, on the way to work 5 days a week, you drive by Starbucks and you allow yourself the 10 minutes to go through the drive-through and you get yourself one of those pretty unhealthy drinks. They're pretty much a milkshake, aren't they? Even though they got a little bit of coffee in them, pretty much a milkshake. And you were having those 5 days a week. And you knew that was causing you to gain weight and to feel sluggish and to have these terrible, blood sugar spikes, high and low. And you start the diet plan and you're exercising and you're getting up and you're walking every morning, but you're still driving by that Starbucks every single day. Some days you're going to give in. That is a really, really hard thing for you, the quote unquote willpower that you're supposed to have all of a sudden now. Those drinks are amazing, right? If they were healthy, nobody would have a problem drinking them every day. They're amazing. They're such a comfort food. But if you're driving by it every single day you go to work, you're going to be miserable. So you have to change the route to work. You can't go the same way. And there's more than one way to get to work. So you can easily take a different route and not even see that. I'll tell you a personal story. There's QTs here in Texas. I like them. And so I would purposely go to that QT to get gas because they always had these little tiny individual candies, like little tiny Tootsie Rolls and those little tiny Reese's peanut butter cups. And what else did they have? Little tiny, just, almost like little Halloween candies. And I would make the excuse to go in there and at first I'd just grab 1 or 2. And then it ended up getting to the point that I was grabbing 6. That's pretty much the equivalent of a full size candy, anything. And it's a lot of sugar. It's a lot of less than stellar fat in there. And it's calories I did not need. And so I had to make the conscious effort to quit going to that gas station. At first I was like, I won't get the candies. Why would I do that to myself? There's usually a gas station across the street, like a racetrack, exact same gas station, but they don't sell the individual candies. So it made it so much easier for me. I didn't have the option. So think of those kind of things when it comes to your environment. What about your kids? Please, I have so many conversations with moms. I understand you want happy kids. And they like their animal crackers, or they like their, fruit snacks, or whatever it is. There are healthier versions, but let's be real. They are ultra processed, and if we can keep from having that every day, even our kids, the healthier we're going to be. So if you have foods in the house for your kids, or your roommates have them or something, just really have that conversation and see if you can get it out of the house if you have a very difficult time keeping your hands out of it. Don't do that to yourself again. I used to with my kids, because they would go from school to after school activities. I would stop at a convenience store and I would grab something small for them, like one of those little packages of Oreos, or a little tiny, bag of the Cheez-Its. I mean, this is 20 years ago. Portion sizes are crazy big now, and they always got the shareable sizes so they could share it, or you could buy it and bring a little Ziploc bag, or keep a Ziploc thing in your car and give them half, because it's quite the size. And do that, and that way it's not in the house all day long for you, whatever it takes. If it's not good for you, it's not good for the kids. And I do think there's a balance there, but I don't think that if you have just a ton of after school snacks and quote unquote junk food around, and you cannot control yourself, make the environment better for you. A healthy parent, a healthy partner, a healthy roommate, so much better than a grumpy, irritable, short parent, partner, roommate, because you're just constantly thinking of those foods that are within reach that you're trying so hard on an hourly basis not to get into. Change the environment. And here is an option that is going to be very controversial. I've never done it myself, but I have had clients that have had great success with buying. You can buy lock boxes that have timers on them. And I've had a couple, not just one, where they will buy the lock box and say they love, they love Chips Ahoy cookies. What an odd thing to think of, but I do too. I like Chips Ahoy cookies. And so they have them in this box, and once a day at 4:00, it opens, and they allow themselves to grab two, and they close it before, anything else. And that box will not open up again until 24 hours later. It worked wonderfully for them. And who's to say, who are you? Who am I to judge that if that works for them, that we should say it's not healthy? They're very happy with that option. So who knows? But you've got to change your environment before you jump into, your diet plan and your exercise plan. If, exercising just seems really, really difficult for you for whatever reason, it could be your environment. Where are you working out? What are you doing for that exercise? If you're outside walking and it's 30 degrees outside and you are miserable, get yourself a walking pad and put it in your living room and turn on the news, or turn on, some YouTube show, true crime, I don't know, and walk on the walking pad and enjoy the walk. Okay. You have so many options to make sure that the changes that you're making are going to stick. But not only do you have to incorporate these new habits, these new changes, but you're going to have to get rid of old habits and make changes to old ways of doing things. You just can't add the new without really taking into consideration changing some old stuff. And I don't want you to feel guilty about that. If it involves other people, sit down and have that talk with them. I don't think there's a person in the world who doesn't care about you, who wouldn't understand that right now, until I really start to see momentum, because momentum and seeing change really makes it easier for you to turn down, the donuts or to maybe just have one instead of feeling like you need to eat all that's left over because you don't want to waste it. That's what we tell ourselves, right? So there you go. Number one, I want you to go into 2024 knowing that fat is essential for you. And because it's so satiating that when you eat it, you may think it's more calories, but it's also going to keep you full longer, which will make you eat less. Okay. And it's also going to help you keep some very important hormones. I mean, we're talking leptin, ghrelin, sex hormones, stress hormones, insulin. All of these hormones need healthy fats to be there and to be functioning correctly for you. Healthy fats and proteins. So don't ixnay the fat at fay. She used to do that as a kid. Big Latin. I don't even know if that's politically correct anymore. My goodness. How about committing to one meal a day, to where you sit down, take some deep breaths, relax, chew slowly, enjoy that food, thoroughly enjoy that one meal, and then take that 1 to 200 step walk afterwards, once a day, every day. And then last but not least, really look at your environment. Okay, you're going to have to make changes to your environment in order for you to make these positive changes that you're adding into your life. Some changes are going to have to make, and that's okay. But you really need to start there before you add things, take away things, or change things. All right. How was that? Not too bad. As always, you guys were coming into that second year of doing this podcast, and I could be around for 2 more months. I could be around for 2 more years. I'm really playing it by ear. I appreciate your personal messages, but I do have to tell you that you sharing it and downloading it is really important as well. At this point, I'm still, if you notice, I'll put in my own little stuff here and there, but I'm not monetizing it. And I'm doing that for you, because I get annoyed by lots of advertisements in my podcasts. And so it's money loss, but I'm okay with that as long as we get the message out of this podcast, of the guests, of if I say anything that's valuable to you, please share. And it keeps me from feeling like it's serving. And so as always, I hope you wake up feeling prepared and you go to bed feeling proud, because I am very proud of you. Have a great day. Wow, we've reached the end. But before I leave you, I'd love to hear from you. After all, it's not every day that someone reaches out and asks for your opinion. And to me, your opinion does matter. So please share this episode with anyone that you think needs to hear this message. And remember to rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. My name is Melissa McAllister. And until next time, thank you for being your own health advocate.